let's chat for a little bit. I was thrilled to get the invitation to come in and speak today. Even though it was kind of last minute, I got the call last night at about 8 o'clock. So I'm just excited about the opportunity to try and talk to people a little bit about what's going on with animal husbandry in this state and the way that it's regulated. If you guys don't have copies of the handouts, let's make sure that you've got some. There are two sheets. The first is just kind of a brief overview of the law as it's currently being applied. And the second one is a piece that I wrote for the newspapers that goes into a little bit more depth. But one of the things that I've heard as I've been here this morning is a lot of talk about the importance of preserving our traditional way of life and the way that especially the traditional agricultural way of life is under fire. One of the things that I think people don't think about a whole lot is the way that animal husbandry has traditionally been done in this state. If you think about it, for hundreds of years, ever since people domesticated animals, we've had people who specialize in treating those animals, who specialize in breeding them, who specialize in handling everyday tasks like castrations and branding and things like that with horses. We have people who trim hooves and shoe horses. We have people who float horses' teeth. All of these things have been done traditionally by ordinary practitioners. In other words, we didn't always have veterinarians having a monopoly on these practices. But about 2 decades ago, Missouri adopted a law that actually made it a criminal offense for anyone but an animal owner, a full-time employee of the animal's owner, or a licensed veterinarian to do anything that would alter an animal's physical or mental condition. Now, they specifically called out things like animal psychology, massage, acupuncture, things like this. They specifically noted those in the statute, but according to the text of the law, anything that alters an animal's physical or mental condition is the practice of veterinary medicine as far as the law is concerned. Let me make sure you have one of my cards, because actually that's one of the things that's specifically spelled out in the statute. Yeah, and the thing is, for a lot of these practices, people will have training in this specific area. So people have training in massage, people have training in farrier, people have training in horse teeth floating. But the law doesn't consider any of that. The only question that the law asks is, did you go to veterinary school? Did you get a license from the state? And if not, you're breaking the law if you're out there doing this work. And so we really think, a lot of the conversation that's been taking place so far has been about equine dentistry because that's kind of the leading edge of this. But we really want to make sure people understand it's not just an equine dentistry issue, it's not just an equine issue, it's a livestock issue. Every livestock owner in the state is affected by this because every livestock owner in the state has to decide who's going to help me service my animals. And if they're bringing on temporary hired hands to get the work done, then technically they're breaking the law. And so it's something that people need to be aware of, and we need to figure out, is this really the way that we want things done in Missouri, or do we want to make sure that it's safe in Missouri to engage in traditional animal husbandry without, running the risk of being prosecuted? Now, I want to bring the message really home by introducing Brooke Gray. Brooke, is standing right here. Brooke is a horse teeth floater, and she's currently the target of a lawsuit by the state. Brooke has plenty of experience. She went to a specialized school, the Academy of Equine Dentistry. She did several months of training there. Then she went and did a 5-month apprenticeship, honing her craft. And then she's been practicing for 7 years. To the best of our knowledge, never had a complaint from anyone that she's helped out. She's never injured a horse that we're aware of. And yet the Board of Veterinary Medicine is trying to shut her down and say she's denied her right to earn a living, and potentially she's denied her freedom because the law states that every violation, which means every individual animal that you might work with, is a separate Class A misdemeanor. That means a $1,000 fine and a year in prison. Let that sink in. No injury to anybody. Only providing services to people who are happy to pay for them, and you can be subject to a $1,000 fine and a year in prison. Now that's not the traditional way of doing things. No. Yeah, that's a great question. The question was, does someone have to complain? Does a customer have to complain for the board to come after you? And the answer is no. In fact, to the best of our knowledge, no one ever complained about Brooke except for a licensed veterinarian who didn't feel like he was getting enough business. And so he filed the complaint with the board, and even though there was no concern about the quality of the service that was being provided, the vet said jump and the board said how high. Not under the law. No. Yeah. What was that? Yes, sir. The way that the law is written, there is no exemption.
Down here in your own county, at the college, where they teach veterinary, they get certified farriers and journeyman farriers to show up to help teach your students.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, for anyone who didn't hear, he was pointing out that at the veterinary college, they actually bring in certified farriers to help teach, even though they're not necessarily licensed vets. This is actually a point that we want to make in relation to Brooke's case. The law is not being applied the way that it's written. They're applying it selectively. For 20 years, even though the law was written so broadly that it encompasses all these different things, for 20 years, they never thought of applying it to an ordinary animal husbandry practitioner. It's only now, 20 years after the law has been on the books, that they've decided to start out by targeting Brooke. And this is part of a larger trend. This is actually a nationwide issue. It started about a decade ago with the Veterinary Medical Association making a push to start getting floaters out of the business. Part of the reason why is because of the development of technology, the tools that are used to float horses' teeth nowadays. It's less of a dirty job than it used to be. And so veterinarians think it might be worth their while to get in and do it. Yeah, it's a fairly good paying job. I've been told that veterinarians can charge anywhere between $100 and $150 to have teeth floated, and I've talked to floaters who will do it for $45 to $85. So it's a lot of money that can be made, and part of the issue is that the veterinarians are trying to say we should be the ones making that money. Now, one of the other issues that's been brought up just in the last session is the fact that Missouri has the third highest population of horses in the entire country, and we've got the greatest per capita population of horses in the country. All right? That's what we understand, yes. Now, at the same time, you had Governor Nixon just a couple of months ago talking about that we also have a shortage of large animal vets. And they're talking about what can we do to make sure that we've got more large animal vets out there. Well, you've got a real problem if you've got this enormous population of animals that needs attention, and you've got a very limited quantity of vets to provide that attention, and then you're going to say only this group of people is allowed to serve these animals. I mean, it's simple mathematics. On top of the shortage of large animal vets, not all large animal vets float horses' teeth or provide farriery work. I don't know of any vets who trim hooves or shoe horses. It's just not worth their while to do it. It's hard work. And so, according to the way the law is written, the way the board has announced that they intend to apply it, all of these practices could be shut down at any given time if the board gets a mind to.